Get things underway. We're on page 62.
62.
62, first full paragraph, so second paragraph.
You better read it. I don't have it, so go ahead.
Okay, all right. Selfishness, self-centeredness, that we think is the root of our troubles, driven by 100 forms of fear, self-delusion, self-seeking, and self-pity. We step on the toes of our fellows and they retaliate. Sometimes they hurt us seemingly without provocation, but we invariably find that at some time in the past, we have made decisions based on self, which later placed us in a position to be hurt. So our troubles, we think, are basically of our own making. They arise out of ourselves, and the alcoholic is an extreme example of self-will run riot, though he usually doesn't think so. Above everything, we alcoholics must be rid of this selfishness. We must, or it kills us. God makes that possible, and there often seems no way of entirely getting rid of self without his aid. Many of us had moral and philosophical convictions galore, but we could not live up to them, even though we would have liked to. Neither could we reduce our self-centeredness much by wishing or trying on our own power. We had to have God's help. And then it goes into playing God.
Yes.
Yeah.
So obviously, if self could be gotten rid of and there was still something there, you're not self. Yes.
Yeah.
When you're in the act of being identified as self, getting rid of self is like a death threat. Yeah. To the system. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think the system is going to go along with its demise?
Yeah, no.
No. So what do you get? What a lot of the flack that is going on in one's head is a resistance or denial of that demise. Yeah. So the system is shouting out to prolong the system. All the while we're thinking it's us talking to us. This is a very simple message. We just went through 3 paragraphs. Self must have been mentioned like 11 times. Mm-hmm. And instead of just applying the possibility you may not be that. And so if you see any life, meaning not yours, being run by self, is hardly going to be a success. Mm-hmm. So if there could be getting rid of self, and why can't that happen? Because we're in the act of being identified as self. This is what, not knowing it or not knowing it, this is what they're saying. And then the chink in their view was, and we are the root of the problem, because then they fall back into the act of being identified as self. Mm. They have clear descriptions of self as other, and just like us, they fall back into the idea that we're self. So, our troubles are of our own making, yet they have sentences galore in the book that point the finger at something else. Mm-hmm. When they're describing, our troubles, are not of our own making. They're self-imposed, yes? So there's a flip back and forth. So why not lean on one instead of the other? I'd much rather lean on the statement, being convinced self manifested in various ways is what has defeated us. Very clear about that. I'll lean that way. Yeah. So that way the program emphasizes self and brings about more of us. Yes. So there's a diminishing of self, and then there's an appearance of more of us in our lives. Yeah. So to me, the spiritual awakening is really based on a mental diminishing. Yeah. So the addiction to this idea of self gets diminished, and then things that were unsuspected, like an inner resource, become suspected. It's not like they just showed up. They've been there all the time. but they weren't suspected because we were busy looking through the, the telescope of the ass of self, so to speak. Yes. Doesn't that sound, that to me makes complete sense? So he just describes all this shit with self preceding everything, decisions based on self, self-centeredness, self-fear, 100 forms of all this other shit that comes along with this idea of self. The simplicity of entertaining it's other than us, I don't see how complex that is. It's very simple. It's either you or it's not. Yeah. Because you're not going to be successful getting rid of you. Yeah. You're going to be completely successful getting rid of a you. Yeah. Getting rid of you when that act of identification is working, and that you, yeah, that self is called you, you're not going to get rid of you as you. Yeah. But if you see it as a you, like many other yous, then the possibility becomes available. This is what happened with me. Just a regular day of being sober, trying your best to be available to others, whatever, having a seat assignment, doing, directing or leading workshops on the fourth step. I read how it works tons of times, yeah, to try to see how to present it in another way that may work better. Because obviously, in this disease and the recovery of this disease, there's a lot of resistance comes up. Yes, most people don't stay sober. The hard part, they get sober, but then they can't stay sober. Yeah, because this disease talks to us as us. How other than that can it keep reasserting its superior position?
Yeah, no other way.
So there's an act of being identified as self. Let's get clear about that. You're not doing that. A mental process, which there are processes, there's plenty of them in your body that you're not doing, digesting this and all that shit, yes? Pumping the blood, beating the heart. You have nothing to do with the doing of those things. Nothing. Even though it's called you have nothing to do with it. And on some levels, we're very clear about that. We do not fall into the idea that we're the digester of the food we ate yesterday. Very rarely do you think you got to go home and digest that burrito. Yes? You know, you don't even get close to that. Yeah. Yet, when it comes to these other activities, we're just smack right dab in the middle of it as being the doer of them. Yeah. I'm the one who's thinking these bad thoughts. Yeah. It sounds almost as ludicrous as I'm the one digesting that burrito from yesterday. When you have the eyes to see it, it gets to be that absurd. Yeah. That it's obvious in so many ways. Why can't it be obvious in this way? Because the disease does not want to be found out. It has you as the greatest shield. It has you as the camouflage. We can't seem to get this simple invitation that what has defeated us is not us. And these people that are book thumpers, what does it mean getting rid of self? It doesn't mean you dying. Yeah. It means there's an idea or something that has fixated on us, and we need to get rid of it. We can't seem to do it because we're identified as it. Yeah. So all our preaching, I do anything to be rid of it. No, you won't. Yeah. You're compromised completely. Yeah. You're afraid you won't be here to enjoy the relief from the bondage of self as a self. You're still shooting for that possibility. Even when it comes to having a great experience of your absence, you want to be present for that. It's just an addiction. Yeah. It's an addiction. It goes to any lengths to keep itself going. So very simple. And then these new glasses, you can look at everything in the program and in your life from these new glasses. And let's see what happens. If they bring about an ease and comfort that didn't seem to be available before, keep wearing them. If they bring you relief, far out. Yes? If you have clarity of the exact nature of the wrong and you feel pretty confident about that, and that you see it's very clearly perhaps a better way, there's either trusting finite self or trusting infinite. That's basically it. Yeah. If you want to see the similarity of the word faith and trust, great. Yeah. And there you go. So now you do an inventory and you look at the inventory as self's manifestations in this life. The first one is resentment. So now from that point on, I do not believe the resentment is mine. Mm-hmm. I am seeing it as a manifestation of self in one's life. Okay, I go all the way through, then I look at fear, which is truly mental anxiety in most of our cases. Yeah, what's producing mental anxiety is the mental activity. Yeah. Okay, so I don't call it my fear, I call fear. Wow, it looks a lot different when I'm not calling it mine. Yeah, same thing. All the harms I did to other people, I was driven to do by the influence that was dominating this life. That's why what I did to other people looks a whole lot like what you did to other people. Because the same fucking thing that compelled me to do shit to other people compelled you to do shit to other people. Yeah. The similarities are glaring if you have the eyes to see. Yeah. All of this feeling of being a unique Ford Fairlane and then ending up in the same 3 parking spaces most Ford's Fairlanes end up, you've got to get over the idea that you're unique and special, because you're not. You've been driven by the same thing that has driven millions of people. Yeah. And luckily, we're in a position of maybe being sober, which should produce a lot of gratitude and a desire to be of help to others. Yeah, it's just simple. Yeah. This is simple. I would never have brought it up if I was hearing it. I just didn't hear it. And I was in a pretty thriving community near San Francisco. We had 600 meetings a week. Now, I did not go to every one of those meetings, but I went to a lot of meetings. And I met a lot of people who had gone to a lot of other meetings. And I never fucking heard a clear description of what's going on. Yeah. Then I heard it. And here we are. See if it works. I mean, if you're so solid in recovery, why would contempt prior to an investigation? Why would an investigation scare you? Yeah. Do you believe the word self and us are the same thing? No. So when you read being convinced self manifested in various ways has defeated us, do you believe us and self are the same thing? If you don't, then something defeated the other something. Yeah. It's not like Ed Norton punching himself in the face and thinking was Brad Pitt. In this case, there is a Brad Pitt. Yeah. There is something. There's a parasitical movement that doesn't have your best intentions at heart. It just doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't see you as you may think you see it. Yeah. It sees you as transportation, really, and a place to hide and to feed. Yeah. We produced an incredible home. It can shit all over our lives, and we keep calling it us that did the shitting. It's mind-boggling. To be carrying around guilt and shame based on something that a foreign agent compelled you to do 36 years ago, to me, is incredible slavery. Just mind-boggling slavery. Yeah. Every court, even in America, you may not like the justice system, but they have a statute of limitations. Yeah, the head does not. The head just keeps crucifying you over and over and over again. When are you going to come off the cross? Yeah, I just don't. I mean, well, whatever. Just like, recovery, before recovery happened, yeah? It hadn't been formatted. It hadn't been put into a procedure which would make it available to a lot more people, but people got sober, obviously. An earth-shattering thing happened, something occurred, yes? Those things happen, but the amount of waves of the active addiction and recovery needed a larger message, a formatted way of living to get relief from it, yeah? We're just trying to further the format. We're just attempting to say the disease is talking to you as you in the head. And you may be right now at the effect of false evidence appearing real. Yeah? And maybe what's bringing about the false evidence isn't what's allowing it to appear real. Maybe we are what's allowing it to appear real. And if we are, we can allow it not to appear real. Yeah? Which many of us are in the condition right now. My head says turn left and I keep going straight. It's like a GPS still thinks it has its job. So when I'm driving, it keeps playing its instructions and its directions, but I don't listen to it. Yeah. This is the freedom from the bondage of self. If I'm listening to it, I have to tell the truth. There must be a large amount of faith in something that's failed to keep listening to it. Yeah. And just have those reckonings and tell the truth and see what happens. Yeah. Yeah. So it's a great reading. I'd say self was in there 9 times. You have to sort of recognize a lot of what we call our predicament and our dilemma seems to have been produced and reinforced by something else. I mean, isn't it time to see them? I mean, seriously. You can't wait for us, one of those peak moments, because the system will regroup and claim it and neuter the message. Yeah. You'll just keep on walking around as that which it presents you to be. Yeah. Yeah. So, and then, there's people who are super clear about all the steps, traditions, concepts. This isn't the point. This isn't the time and space. This platform, we're trying to make the most of it by pounding away at just one idea. Because I truly believe if you don't see this, you're going to be looking from its effects. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I've met so few people through meeting tons of alcoholics. Mostly I meet alcoholism. Mm-hmm. Yeah. They have different names, but the names are basically way in the background. The alcoholism is the representative. Yeah, it's unbelievable, especially when they're family members. Yeah. I haven't talked to my nephew Frank in years, yet I talked to him like just a couple of weeks ago, because it's not what's talking is alcoholism. Mm-hmm. It sees everyone else's role, does not see its role. Yeah. Doesn't realize what brought him to the rehab that he was once in 20 years ago. What brought him back there? Completely fuzzy. But what's happening in the rehab and who's bothering him and the food sucks is very clear. But how he got there is completely awash. Yeah. Yeah. Well, here you go. Thank you. Thanks for the platform. And if you think there's going to be something new here, you're sorely mistaken. This isn't It's going to be the same message unless something tells me something else, which I haven't heard from it for years. But maybe I'm going to get and then I'll come here and admit whatever needs to be admitted or whatever. But right now, that's all I got. We can just share about it because I feel humbly you can use everything that has deepened your slavery can release you from it. Repetition. Yes.
Yeah.
Very powerful. If you repeat the truth enough, it becomes the truth, even though it already is. It starts becoming the truth for you. And now you have eyes to see the false evidence instead of trying to wrestle with them after it appears real. Yeah. And that little seeing it is a great advantage, man. We are not playing with all the cards we could right now. We're playing in a very defensive mode. Like, we may not be fucked, but we're thinking we're probably going to be fucked. Yeah. It's just incredible. Once you start, it's not more seeing, but seeing more gets revealed. And whatever gets revealed probably deserves to be brought to 6 and 7 and dumped into the recycling bin. Because it's truly not of us. Yeah. It's of self. And now we have the right carton. We have the right can, which has us on it and self. And we now know where to put what we used to call it's all about us into, which is the container of self. Yeah. And let the higher power use that fucking compost and to grow some new shit in our life. There's a lot of shit there. It should be good fertilizer.
That's right.
Yeah. So just be clear which bin, what goes in which bin. Yeah, that's all. Yeah. Jesus Christ. Put the guilt and shame in the bin of self. Yeah.
That's right.
Give you permission to be okay without having to do 800 spiritual gymnastics, but just okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thanks for the.
Well, yeah, we have Gary with his hand up. But before you go, Gary, I just want to encourage anyone to come in and to raise their hand if they have a question or if they want to share, even if it's half formed. Come in and engage with Paul, because I found that through my time here in these Zooms and through meeting you in person, Paul, it like engaging with the message rather than just allowing self to like cycle it on its own are two completely different fields. And if you genuinely don't have any questions, or if you're kind of in this just taking it all in, of course, but
yes,
I really feel grateful to have these opportunities with you, Paul, and these opportunities with the group. So, yeah. Gary, come on in.
There's a loving something that expresses itself through our group conscience. Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Amen, Jacob. I second what you just said.
Yeah.
Engaging, putting your money where your mouth is, or whatever that is better than just on the sidelines. Yeah, Paul, I just wanted well, of course, thank you again, but I noticed as you're talking that my experience is there's like the head is saying but it's like trying to get started. Like you notice that all those buts are self, really. And what happens eventually after I'm listening is it's like trying to climb up on a glass mountain. It never happens. And then at some point there's recognition that all that but is selfing. So I'm left in the position of just seeing that going on.
Yes.
And that's a more peaceful position, and I get what you're talking about. It's it's just seeing that is more powerful than having a lot of explanations or winning arguments or being right. Just that, I give up the but and see that, wow, look, that's all the selfing has been. It's been trying to get up on a horse it couldn't ride and falling down, and just seeing that is a recognition of a powerful place. I guess you could simply say that's truly me, not the one that was trying to be right or make an explanation. So I think that's maybe a good reason for coming back to meetings, because the little engine that couldn't, the but, fails yet again. And hallelujah.
Yes. Very well put, Gary. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Exactly that. Becoming aware. See, a lot of action is motivated through unawareness. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
The awareness gives you a pause and things changed in a way. They'll change if left alone. Yeah. If you just see it, and the real interest that's behind it all gets moved, things are going to change. Yeah. It's just that way. It's not going to be as much heavy lifting as your head tells it it's going to be. Yeah. And every recognition or revelation doesn't, it's not a call to arms. You just see, you start seeing selfing, and it explains a whole lot about what's been going on in what you call your life. Yeah. And that there's been a narration that overwhelmed the experience of living. Yeah. And really deadened almost our sense of living, almost as if you could deaden the nerves that allow you to feel. In a way, we've been deadened to feeling in a lot of ways, what it's like to be alive. We have a story about the one being alive, but that story is got a lot of dead air in it, really. So, yeah, I find awareness is the key, and you got a infinite amount of it right where you're sitting. Yeah. There's a loss of interest. There's not a loss of awareness. Yeah. There's a loss of interest. And then what you become aware of is the awareness itself. And to me, that's the spiritual awakening, literally. Yeah. You're now aware of that which is aware, and maybe hopefully as that which is aware. Yeah. It changes.
That sounds like a big fancy thing, but it's more like what you were just saying. Put all that but in the selfing bucket. You know what that is, so it doesn't need any extra attention. Oh yeah, there's that again. And that leaves me in a peaceful place. That's very fruitful.
Yeah. So listen, Gary, if you were throwing stuff out into the recycling, you're not going to describe to an infinite amount of each carton. Yeah. The orange juice carton, the milk carton, the specifics would be lost. It's just a recognition. It's a carton means it can go into the recycling. Yeah. So these are sort of the eyes that are given to us. You start seeing what you're not. You start seeing the product of selfing. You don't need to go into great detail. It looks like a carton. It feels like a carton. It's fucking empty like a carton. You throw it in the recycle. Yeah. It's becomes very, very clear after a while. Yes,
Yeah.
what goes where.
Yeah, it doesn't take any extra
No,
ordinary
not
effort.
like everything, every carton has to be fucking infinitely broken down to find. No, it's a carton.
That's selfing.
Throw it out. Oh, but I love the orange juice. Fuck that. Just throw it out. It's a carton. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, 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 yeah. And you know, there is not an infinite amount of throwing out. There's a lot of periods where you don't have any recycle to put out for the garbage. You just don't. You're not filling it up like you used to every day. Yeah. Because you've outgrown the conditions that needed you to have to get a huge recycling bin. You have outgrown that. And hopefully you have the eyes to recognize that, because you don't want to make shit up to throw out. Yeah. Just because you're in the habit of throwing shit out. You don't need to, if there's nothing to inventory, the best thing to do is not do an inventory. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, not make
I'm not
stuff
saying
up.
don't do an inventory, but you will reach points where there's nothing to write about, and that's the appropriate response.
Yeah.
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 It's not like an infinite amount of recycling. You're recycling until the point where it's just the idea of step 11 with the intention of step 11, in my view, is to improve one's conscious contact. And they suggest two ways: meditation and prayer. But the point is to improve one's conscious contact. The point isn't to become a great meditator or prayer. It's to improve conscious contact. Yes? Yeah. Now, what greater way to improve conscious contact is to have an understanding of that which is constantly reinforcing unconscious contact, which is the fucking story of self. Yes? So, exactly. When you lose interest in the story of self, you're going to have a vast improvement in conscious contact. You're going to notice where you are when you're there. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like noticing the static and not paying any attention to it. Because, oh yeah, there's a little static, but
That's right, because you're paying attention to something before that static. You're paying attention to the presence, which is always present. Yeah. Presence isn't something that's absent. Its presence is that which is always present. Yeah. That's the point.
that's beautiful. There's no effort involved in that.
No, there isn't. I have an effort to make, toast and eggs after the meeting, but I don't have an effort sitting in the presence. No. My ass may have an effort with the cushion, but the sense of presence is quite relaxing. Yes.
Oh,
Yeah. Thank you, Gary. I'm happy.
thanks.
Feeling good and stuff. Yeah. Yep. It's good to see you back.
Thanks.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks, Gary. Great question. We have Andrew. Andrew, come on in.
Hi,
Is this your
Jacob.
first time? Is this your first time here, Andrew, or have we met you before?
I've
I've
been
been here before.
Oh,
I've
okay.
been here before. It's been a while. Hi, Paul. It's nice to hear you again. This selfing that you talk about, it's like the major addiction, isn't it? The addiction to this mental construct that is supposedly called our anger, and and it rules your life. And I've found basically with no matter how long I'm 8 years next month, and
Okay.
but even at that, when you say just don't pay attention to this selfing because you're not that self, and I completely understand that. You know what I mean? I can go out for a drive, for example, and I can see the expanse of the spatial awareness of my driving, and I see the countryside and the big sky, and I go, well, you're this that's known this. experience. And no matter how much you tell yourself what you are, automatically selfing comes back. And no matter what I do with regards to, say, like meditation, you're saying conscious contact with meditation or prayer. And keeping that conscious contact is where I find it difficult. Yeah. I know the true nature of the self, which is no self. You know, there's just this what's going on. This that's always present and aware. But regardless of my intellectual understanding of it, it doesn't hold. And that's the difficulty.
Well, let me jump in here for a second. All right. Do you mind, Andrew?
Yeah.
All right. So first of all, I'm not telling people to lose interest in self. All I'm saying that you may not be self. And if that hits you, you're going to lose interest in it. See, one sounds like an order that you're going to fail, which just sounds like what you've been describing. Yeah. That you can't seem to lose interest in self. Yes, because that's self trying to do it. Yeah. So this is about losing interest in self is an effect. It's not an order. It's not something you do. It's something you notice. Yeah. First of all. And then the second thing that, yes, you're in that beautiful spatial stuff. And then the thing seems to keep coming back like an unwanted boomerang. Exactly. But what's seeing that? What's seeing selfing seemingly leave and come back is that which never goes anywhere.
I know. Yeah.
Exactly. So when selfing comes back, it talks as us again, and it says, man, I just can't stand when selfing comes back. But it's basically selfing talking through us about selfing. Yes. This is what you're going to see. If you don't see it now, you will by coming here, I hope. You're going to step it back. This is how you see more. You don't see more by going ahead. You see more by stepping back. Something steps back, and then you see a lot more that you weren't seeing. And this is what explains to you why you're fucked here. Yeah. That knowledge of here about seeing what's here, what's going on in the selfing. Selfing is talking about Andrew as a self.
Self.
Yes. Both of them are not you. The one that's reviewing Andrew is another aspect of this idea of Andrew. Yeah, this is the point. When you step back and you only see the first Andrew, you step back in the shit again because you're seeing it from the second Andrew. You're not actually, the seeing is super clear. The second Andrew's claiming that position. So take another step back and you see both. So it's not one or the other's got to go. Neither of them are you. Yeah. So this is just, the head's not going to inform you. You can step back. It will say, that's the void. Never, yeah. No, keep looking ahead. Keep looking at what's going on. No, there's a stepping back and you see more. There's not more seeing. There's not more awareness. There's plenty of awareness at all times. But there's more awareness of what's going on. Yeah. There's not more awareness, but you see more. And that more is going to bring you a lot less interest in self. Yeah. Because when you're absorbed about self as self, you're not going to have any relief or freedom from self. Yeah. So self loves to be obsessed with the object or the topic of self. You're neither the one that's noticing what's happening to Andrew, yeah, or the Andrew that it's happening to. Yeah, that's the beautiful message. If it seems like you can't get it, fantastic, you can't. What's trying to grab it can't grab it, fantastic. Yeah. The failure of the system will reveal itself by trying to get the message about the failure of the system. It's beautiful. It's beautiful mechanism. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's seamless and beautiful. I mean, I've been in these meetings forever. I've gone to every Paul Hedderman meeting over the years. Yeah, I've seen the seamlessness of the invitation. Yeah, it brings out shit that does quite well hanging in the weeds. It brings out the misunderstandings, and you get to see not only, it's like the Two-Face character of the DC comics. You don't just see one side of the face, you see the two-facedness of it. Yeah. 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 And then there'll be relief that won't even be recognized by that which is constantly trying to get relief. Yeah, because you're going to be relieved of it. Yeah. It's not the one that's going to get the relief. You're going to get the relief from that. Yeah. And it's different when you have relief as it or relief from it. It's different. You're going to notice it after a while. You will. It becomes pretty clear. Yeah. There's a huge difference, it getting relief and you are being relieved of it. Yeah. So we're praying as we do, please relieve us of the bondage of self. The bondage of self comes with two faces. Yeah. The one you recognize as self and the one that's claimed the recognition of that self. Yeah. Telling you, it's mechanical. Whatever you're seeing, you're being presented as the seer of it. Yeah. So the seeing gets underemphasized, and now you're the seer, and that doesn't lead you to any real relief from what's seen. It's self can't get out of self. Yeah. It's beautiful because you set the bear trap triggers, you got the bear, and then by seeing that that's not working, you realize the bear is trying to trap the other bear. So you catch both, and then you lose interest in both. Yeah. It's very nice. Yeah. So keep on walking, bro. Stay sober. Right where you are is going to lead you to the next possibility. Yeah. You're going to realize the dance floor isn't 6 by 12, it's 7 by 13. There's an extra foot in there. Yeah. And you're going to go back and you're going to see a whole lot more. You're going to see the partnership of the dance. It's not just you dancing, it's you and you dancing. Yeah. Yes. Ooh, very nice. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I've fallen off the dance floor. I'm telling you, it's not 16 by 18, it's 17 by 20 or something. There's room for another step back. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm stepping back.
I know you are, bro. Just chill out, do what we do, carry the message, hear the message when it's carried by others, do whatever, and just allow yourself to entertain the possibility. See, there's an awareness, yes?
Mm-hmm.
The awareness gets claimed. And now you're called the one who's aware, Paul, yeah? After a while, let's say you get sober, that Paul that was presented to be you comes under review, so to speak, yeah? Wait a minute, something hasn't worked. You finally look at maybe the major culprit, and then you realize it's you, okay? So now that Paul that was captured by this story, that bit of awareness has now leaked out and is seeing it. So now that system of Paul is claiming to be the seer of the system of Paul. So self has regrouped. It's grown on the lens of awareness, and now it's you looking at you, or as we say in AA, self trying to get out of self. Yeah. And now you see that, And there it is. Yeah. You don't have to go any farther back. Two of you is enough to explain there's none of you. Yeah. Yeah. And then you start recognizing the mechanism, mechanical of whatever this head is brought into contact with by us, it's going to claim. Yeah. So when
sorry.
No,
so there's no Andrew being aware, there's awareness being aware of Andrew.
yes.
Yeah.
Well, there's an awareness being aware. It's not of Andrew. It's selfing. There's no name on it. It's an activity.
So this is awareness being aware of Andrew. Yeah, there's no Andrew being aware.
No, there's no Andrew being aware. There's an awareness of selfing, which is implying there's an Andrew.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I totally got you. But it's coming in and through as a character.
See, there's going to be two characters. Yeah. When no characters getting recognized, begrudgingly, a life going through tons of shit will recognize one of the characters. Yes. And it's called Paul. But now that light that's bringing about that recognition has been claimed as Paul. So now Paul is going over Paul. Self is going over self. Self as Paul is trying to get out of self as Paul. It doesn't fucking work. Yeah. So now more gets revealed, and you don't just see, oh, the one I have come to know to be the disturbed Paul is now an object of another disturbed Paul called the subject. Yes. So you catch it. That's all. If you don't catch it, you will. Because we're before everything. We're not just before one Paul, we're before both Pauls. Yeah. Yeah.
I suppose the only proper relief that you get every day is in deep sleep, because there's no you, there's no nothing. There's nothing. It's just
no, you get some damn good relief. I'm telling you, just from this. Traveling lighter, because it's traveling light, it goes unsuspected or gone over quite a lot. But when you run into someone that's living in a great state of agitation, there's a lot of gratitude because you're not there. The problem does not exist for you right at that moment. That's fucking an incredible solution. So there's a lot of appreciation because I have enough memory bank filled with great, very vague reminiscence, because you can never do justice to how bad it was. But I'm constantly put into a prayer posture when the memories come up. It's yeah. So deep sleep is nice, but I'm not a bear. I can't hibernate for 5-6 months. So traveling lighter is pretty damn close. Yeah. Yeah. And there'll be a big hibernation sooner than later, maybe in some cases. Yeah. So with you not here, nothing's going on.
very true.
So yeah, there you go. So right now we're here, so it looks like everything's going on. When we're not here, there won't be any here not to be hearing. All right. Well, let's go to someone else. Thank you.
Thanks, Andrew. And we got Al. Come on in, Al.
Thanks. Thanks, Team Zen Slap, for the excellent behind-the-scenes production value. I actually wrote the questions down today on a little digital notepad so I wouldn't forget them. And then I drifted into self, and I'm like, did he just answer them to Andrew? And self is now interfering with my asking the questions. It's just preposterous. It's just preposterous. I see your smiles and nods, so you understand what I'm saying. So self cannot reveal self to self. So what's doing the revealing That's the one I thought you may have just answered. I had a brilliant idea before the meeting, Revealing Self for Dummies. Somebody should publish that book, because self doesn't do it. So what is revealing self? And finally,
Well,
is any self good? Is there any good self-esteem, self-awareness? Is there any I'm laughing. Is there any good self out there? All right.
Yes, of course. There's no self, first of all, period. But yes, of course, the representative of the action figure in this character play, yes, for sure. Yeah. People can, have you ever seen a human face in devotion? It's quite beautiful. Yeah, so there's very high ceilings for us as a form of expression. Truly, yeah. So when you're touched, or somebody I used to know, I don't know if he's passed away or not in AA, but he was always say he was kissed on the cheek by the higher power. Yeah, that's a lovely thing to say as an action figure. Yeah, so to get that out of the way, what was the other thing? Oh, the idea, what you are doesn't want to know what it is. What you're not wants to know about what it is. Yeah, you are a great mystery. Why not leave it at that? And enjoy the revelatoriness of really being alive from moment to moment, instead of a dead caricature of what your head thinks. Remember when they said, to make it easier for people to just come into the rooms, you can make a higher power of your own understanding. Okay, that was useful for a short bit of time, maybe. But obviously, when you start getting touched by that thing that's kissing you on the cheek, the idea of the higher power hopefully is going to evolve to a higher power of its own understanding, because you'll realize how small the understanding or the window you're looking through is. Yeah, I'm not saying what's looking through it is small, but what we're looking through as this action figure is a tiny opening. Yes. And so I felt it was a natural evolution to realize the higher power. I have a higher power of its own understanding, which allows it to be revelatory. Why would I want to try to define light coming through a 4x7 window? Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense. So yeah, let's leave the mystery alone and enjoy it. I mean, don't you feel in some ways when the head knows something, it's almost like killing the thing or neutering it?
It's a great freedom in not knowing. I learned that from some
the whole point. Yeah. So, and you are the epitome of not knowing.
Yes. So what I just got from you was, along with accepting myself as a flawed human being, I can accept not knowing. And I found that very challenging pre-sobriety. But somebody said, you have to accept not knowing. I'm like, that's impossible. I need to know if she loves me.
What needs to know isn't you. That's why it's possible. Yeah. We're not trying to change you. We're just seeing you're not that. So to you, something may be impossible, but it's not impossible to what you are. So that's the acceptance of things. Yeah. What its final declaration of never or always isn't taken seriously anymore. Yes.
I love the
limited functioning, right? That thinks it's unlimited. It's myopic. It's just the way it goes. Yeah.
I have to, those alcoholics that you meet on a regular basis, I meet a bunch of them too. And I need to put them on like the GPS in the background or the TV that I'm ignoring as white noise in the background. And I have to let their alcoholism just be, not take it personally. I should maybe check back into Al-Anon for a refresher. God, it's just so trying. And I don't know why I take it personally as a failure or It's like, oh my God, most people miss the boat here. I've had this conversation with old time. Al, do you have any idea what tiny percentage? I'm afraid so. I do. It's a tiny percentage of the percentage that really can. I'm still. You can hear me tangoing with it today. I hear me tango.
The great news of Tradition 5, though. There's something in the rooms that's bigger than all the people in the room. It's a presence that seems to gather strength here when we're together in that setting. So I tend to keep my eye on that ball while I'm listening to everything else.
I'm gonna put hand cleaner on my cheek and walk around looking for kisses from everybody.
Well,
It's okay. I just cleaned my cheek. Give me a kiss.
There's just there's something. There's a presence, you want to call it grace or everything, that comes through the formal nuts and bolts of the machinery of recovery in this day and age. There's grace that drives it. And it's available. You can feel it. And you may not like any person individually in that room, but you leave feeling better.
Thanks, bro. Really. Thank you.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of power going on. Yeah. So, yep. All right.
Yeah, respect the power, respect the force. Got it.
Well,
Thanks,
yeah.
Paul.
Thanks, Jacob.
Hey, Paul, we have somebody new to our meeting. This is Cindy from Ontario. She has her hand up.
Yeah, fine. All right, Cindy, how are you?
Hi there, Cindy Alcoholic. I'm great, thanks. Ontario, Canada. I've been sober since April 25th, 21, and go to a lot of meetings. I put the link in the chat for Everything AA app. It's a really good app for anyone. There's meetings all over the place. There's big books on it, 12 and 12 and Living Sober, and you can listen to it or read it if you wish. I'm hearing that we're talking about self-centeredness, and to me that's step 4 basically, right? Like it's all in all the steps, but for me, my sponsor said to me when I was doing step 4, because a lot of people think it's like super hard to do, but she said, like, who pissed you off? What did they do to piss you off? And what was your part in it? And how can you fix it? Basically, right? So that was easier for me to understand it, because sometimes the wording in the big book takes, I don't know, sometimes for me it's confusing. So I said to her, just tell me straight to the point. What like, how do I do this? So that's how she said to me, and then that made it easier for me to do the categories. And then from there, all you do is just write it down, right? You're not telling anybody yet. You're just writing everything down. And then you bring that to your sponsor. And then like to get out of self, I help with meetings. I host meetings and co-host, and I'm also a sponsor to sponsees. And just get out of yourself and do service work. It doesn't even have to be on AA. It could be doing service work. Like, for instance, we'll go through Tim Hortons or McDonald's, and I'll buy the person behind me's lunch or breakfast or whatever time of the day I'm through. Sometimes it's just a coffee. Sometimes it's a whole family, so but I'm in a good position where I can do that. Sometimes it's even holding the door for somebody is service. So anyway, I just wanted to thank you for the meeting, and I just wanted to introduce myself.
Oh, thank you, honey. Yes, welcome. All right. Anyone else, Mike, or who's running it? Oh, Jacob.
Yeah, no other hands, Paul.
Well, let's say goodbye to everyone. Nice to see you, Cindy. And yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hey, everybody.
Michael, Stacy, as always. Al, Vegas. Yep. I'd always wager my life with Al. Yeah, there you go, Al. Walt, brother from another mother, Ruby, one of our emissaries in one of our father outposts. Nice to see you, Ruby. All's well? Oh, great. Very good. I'm very happy to see you again today. Andrew, pleasure, my friend. Yeah. Jacob, as always. Yes. Mickey, the matriarch of Madeira. John K. Ah, John, always nice. Joseph, he's down. He's living large in the living room. Nice to see you, Joseph. Gary, you're looking well, my friend. That's good. Yeah. We got Dana. Yep. Tom in Denver. Someone wanted to get in touch with you, Tom. I think a guy from Seattle. Did he get a chat? Oh, I think he will. He knows people that you know from the old days. Yeah. I think his name was he delivers eyes, or he used to. EYES in Seattle. Yeah.
Jeffrey, Seattle.
Oh, Jeffrey, Seattle. So, well, somehow he's probably going to get in touch with you.
Great.
Yeah. And we got Mia. Mia's looking, I don't know where she is. There she is. Having a coffee. Is it Joshua Tree? No. Wait, she's going to say something. Oh, all right. There we go. Thank you. We got Kaiser in Minnesota. Nice to see Kaiser. He's been with us for a long time. John, Florida. Yeah. Oliver, Berlin. Nina. Oh, these are the heavyweights here. Chris B. Wow. Roman M. We're going to have a day of reckoning in Sicily. That's good. Sean, nice to see Sean. Suzanne M. Always a pleasure. Thank you. David Stinson. Cassandra. Let me go to B. We've got Gary Koch. We got that. Andrew, Alex on the phone. Christine in Kona. Suzanne, everyone. Thank you so much. Keith M. Thanks for holding the space for the platform. And there you go. It's working, eh? I would imagine so. Yeah.
Paul.
You're traveling lighter in spite of yourself. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Ben. Have a good day. I'll see you guys tomorrow.